Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. You guys know the drill by this point. Every day during Worlds at Fnatic is a banger. They take the reins from TSM during Worlds time and then they hand it right back to TSM when Worlds ends. And today, Fnatic is involved in some weird kind of drama once again. This time I don't think it's necessarily their fault, and I'm not saying it's their fault, but it is drama. And it does involve Fnatic. And it does involve Worlds, and these things just find a way to keep popping up. Some people are really upset, angry, weirded out by this whole situation. Some people like myself are just very confused and want some answers. And other people are starting to speculate a little bit more into this and trying to figure out what exactly it could mean. Maybe trying to stir up some drama or some potential juicy moves coming very soon. What we were talking about today was this small, little, seemingly inconsequential tweet by Bean, which I'm sure he didn't think was going to be made this big of a deal of. But man, it started some craziness. Bean tweeted out, sadly going home today because there can only be one sub going to New York. Happy sad face. Let's see what they actually call this one. They actually call this the smiling face with tear. I'm really grateful, though, to have been a part of this amazing Worlds journey up until now. And, of course, I'm wishing the boys best of luck for the rest of the tournament. I'm sure they'll do great. He also tweeted out, hey, peacing out his rank 1 in Champions Queue at least. So, hey, hopefully this trip was not all bad for Bean. You can see here he's rank 1 at 2146 LP. Top of the charts. Cool. We didn't get to see Bean play in any games, but he did come over here. Now, what has the drama and controversy? You know, what's so weird about this tweet? I will explain with a tweet of my own. As soon as Bean tweeted this out, my kind of, weird radars were going off right away, and I tweeted out, hey, this seems very weird. One, Bean was their sub. Rux was the emergency sub. And now they get to change that around all of a sudden? That's what I did not understand. Because if you guys remember, coming into this tournament, before the upset in Hyli, COVID incident, before all that craziness going on, Bean was the only sub on their roster. They had 6 men. It was their 5 starters, and it was Bean. Rux was not on the roster, but Riot allowed Rux to be added to the roster as an emergency substitute because of extraordinary circumstances or whatever the heck was going on. Which, of course, yeah, that makes sense. They had COVID. You don't want freaking Yamato to have to play support at Worlds or Bean to have to play support at Worlds or something stupid like that. You give them their emergency support, especially if they have an academy team and everything like that. But an emergency support, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of other people, should be just that. The support, or the sub, or whatever that comes in because of an emergency, and then leaves when the emergency is over. Obviously, Hylissang is now in North America. I assume he's able to make it to the United States, okay. I assume he's able to make it to New York, okay. I assume that he is still happy, healthy, all of that. Now, hey, Hylissang was not playing all that well, but I don't think he's COVID positive anymore. Hey, maybe something's going to come out. I don't exactly know. But the emergency happened. The emergency sub happened. The emergency ended. The emergency sub should end. Why does Fnatic now get to switch around their rosters, which would have never even been possible, allowed, or legal without the emergency happening? That does not make sense to me. All the other players had to abide by a certain set of rules. All of a sudden, Evil Geniuses doesn't just get to bring in a new random sub. All of a sudden, RNG, they can't decide, oh, hey, we actually want a different sub now. DRX can't decide these things as well. This really makes no sense, and I think this is very strange. Now, there have been some other takes like, hey, well, Rux was the sub who played, so maybe that just means you just get to play one sub, and now Bean is gone because Rux is the guy that played since he's played. If Rux got to play and then leave, and then Bean got to play and then leave, that would actually be like them getting 7 players. Now, for them to only get 6, Bean has to be the one to go. Yeah, maybe, but that still seems a little bit weird to me. That doesn't make sense. Also, if Rux would have played poorly, would Fnatic still have chosen to keep Rux? Did Fnatic even get to choose Rux? I don't know. I hope we get an explanation about this from Riot. Wooloo did reply to this. He said, if true, that would imply that the choice was on Fnatic. Which, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Was the choice on Fnatic, or was this choice on Riot? Did Riot say, hey, Rux played, so he has to stay now, Bean hit the road? Or did Fnatic say, hey, Rux looked pretty good, we want to reward him, you get to stay? Did Fnatic say, hey, Rux looked pretty good and Hyli looked pretty bad, we might want to play with Rux, let's hold on to him just in case? Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very interesting, and I hope Riot does make a statement on this. But overall, it simply means Rux is more likely to play than Bean, or maybe Rux is more valuable sub even on the bench. I said, yeah, I know, but I'm saying, why should Fnatic even have a choice? If he was an emergency sub and the emergency's over, it seemed weird to choose now. They already chose Bean as their sub. But again, that's acting, or at least giving an opinion under the assumption that Fnatic is actually getting to choose. It is possible that Riot is making a choice for them. I do not know. We've never really had a situation like this happen before. It's also weird that Bean and Rux aren't just both allowed to go to New York. Why do they only get one sub now? I don't know. Whole situation, very, very strange. But this also leads into the second part of this, that, hey, if Rux is the guy going to New York, he's the guy going with the team, is Fnatic thinking about playing Rux? And I don't know. Fnatic looked pretty damn good with Rux. He was a playmaker. It didn't look like he had any synergy issues with Upset at all. The team looked very, very strong. They took down Evil Geniuses, who, as we've seen, has been a pretty decent team so far at this tournament. And with Hylissang in there, they also lost to Brazil. Hylissang individually did not look all that great. Now, hey, maybe he was jet lagged. Maybe he was still feeling a little sick. Maybe he was tired. Maybe his time zone, body discombobulated, all that stuff. I don't know. But it's at least interesting. Is this something Fnatic is considering? Is this something they should consider? If they lose a couple games, if scrims go really bad with Hyli, are they going to let Rux play in any scrims? Is this something even being considered at all? Or is Rux just being brought along as a substitute? I do not know, but this is a speculation that a lot of people are going to. This has even gotten as far as Azael, like an actual caster guy in the scene, a Riot guy who's casting stuff at Worlds, playing into this whole thing as well. He said Fnatic considering subbing out Hyli, it sounds like. Now, this was very, very surprising for me to hear from Azael, usually a pretty even keel, middle of the road guy, and this is a very, very speculative tweet from him, so I was a little bit surprised to see this, but he does say Fnatic considering subbing out Hyli, it sounds like pretty crazy considering his history with the team. That says Rux played amazing in the games he started. Would you want him to start groups for Fnatic? I chimed in, hey, not necessarily. Could just be that he played well and they want to keep him / reward him. Azael liked that tweet. He didn't respond. I don't know anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. There are some people who are reading this move. It's so weird because there's so many different ways to read this whole thing. Again, you can read it as Fnatic is making this choice or Riot made this choice. You can read it as Fnatic is keeping Rux because they're rewarding him for good play. They were impressed by him. They think it's going to be beneficial to have him around. You can also read it as, hey, they're not totally confident in Hyli right now. They're thinking about maybe putting him in. I don't know, but this whole situation starts getting really, really crazy. At the end of the day, I don't think Rux is going to play. I don't think they're bringing him to put some pressure on Hyli. I don't think they're bringing him in case Hyli plays bad. They're going to sub him in. I think it's, at least I hope, most likely that Riot decided since Rux was the guy who played that he will be the one in there. I think that is the wrong decision. I think Rux should have just been brought in when Hyli needed a sub because of COVID, and then he should have left. I think Bean should be the one going to New York. That doesn't really sit right with me. It is a little bit strange. Again, this is not Fnatic's fault in any way. It's just drama that happens to involve Fnatic rather than the drama that Fnatic usually causes or creates themselves or whatever. But this was a pretty big storyline. Overall, I do think it is kind of an interesting, weird story. So I did want to cover it. I did want to talk about it. And yeah, I don't know. My tweet kind of popped up. It's got 82 likes. Yes, it does have a Wooloo reply on it. But even before Wooloo replied, this tweet was already still, performing much better than some of my other tweets. So I thought it was at least somewhat interesting of a story that some other people might want to hear about or might have a reaction to as well. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about anything we talked about in this video today. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.